Hi, welcome to the SEO Science Show. My name is Josh Bachynski. This is a special emergency Sunday broadcast of the SEO Science Show, coming at you from Victoria, British Columbia. And we're all trapped inside our houses right now. It is March 22nd. I've been stuck inside my house for weeks and I'm going crazy. So I'd like to share SEO with you. And today's episode is going to be how to do SEO in 2020. There was a huge upswell of people doing SEO in 2020. If you check out this cool website, which I don't know if you've ever seen it before, let me show you. It's called Google Trends. For those of you who have never seen it before, here it is, Google Trends. And it'll let you check the general trends of searches in Google. It's used to be a more valuable SEO tool, but it's still a pretty valuable SEO tool. Now, if you search SEO in terms of search engine optimization, the topic, not to be confused with any other of the SEO initialisms or names, it's going to show you some interesting data. If I go back to past 5 years, check this out. This is very interesting. Now, this is the United States for the past 5 years. And check out here how on this date, January 1st, 2016, around there, give me a date, there we go. Suddenly SEO got a huge boost. And then right around when Google rolled out the November update, the anti-SEO update that I've talked a lot about in the show, they crushed SEO and it lost interest in the United States, which is interesting. So Trump started, and for some reason people thought that'd be really good for SEO. They got interested in SEO. I'm not really sure why, but they did. Which that's kind of interesting. I'd love you to think out there as to why that is or how that could be. And then Google crushed SEO in November, crushed their spirits. The anti-SEO algorithm came in. That was a much bigger update and a much crushier update to the industry than I expected. But then look at this over here in beginning of February 2020, at the start of the coronavirus panic. It's been SEO is more popular now and more people have been searching for it than they have in the last 5 years. The last 5 years, isn't that fascinating? So I don't really know what's going on there. So that's pretty impressive. So I imagine there's a lot of people who are trying to get into SEO, who are doing more SEO now, and they want to know how to do it for 2020. Well, you're in the right place. Today I'm going to go through at a high level how to do SEO for 2020, what you need to do SEO for 2020, what you need to understand to do SEO for 2020. I have good news and bad news. The good news is that it is still plenty of money to make. There's still plenty of keywords you can rank for, depending on your knowledge level and your scientific basis for your knowledge level. And there's still lots of money to be had on the interwebs. There's still money out there in them thar hills. The problem is, and the downside is that it's not easy to do. You need a high level of education. You need a high level of technical sophistication. High level is relative. I mean, I don't think it's a very high level, but compared to someone who's just on their couch scratching their butt, who knows nothing about making web pages and nothing about internet marketing and nothing about sales in general or any of those, or how to run a business or any of those kinds of topics, it's going to be very difficult. It's a huge learning curve from the schmo on their couch saying, maybe this SEO thing could make me money, to someone who already knows how to do web design or programming and understands web technologies and understands, or maybe even somebody who knows sales and knows marketing and knows how to write really well. Those people are kind of better positioned to kind of just jump into SEO. And so, although I welcome all of you to try, if you wish to do so, I don't wish to squash the dreams of anyone. And I know we're all stuck at home now, and I'm stuck at home with you, so we're all stuck at home. And so email me about SEO at joshbachynski@gmail.com if you want to get started. But I'm here to tell you, I'm on your side. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It's going to be a bit of tough love on the show. For those who've been watching for a while know that I'm all about the tough love. And I'm going to tell you the truth. And it might not be the truth you want to hear. In fact, it's probably not going to be the truth you want to hear, because you want to hear it's easy. You want to hear, yeah, it's easy. Just use this plugin and you can make millions. Sorry, those get-rich-quick scams are just that, scams. So it's a viable career path. There's money to make working from home, either as an in-house SEO, consultant with clients, or an affiliate SEO who's ranking pages for products and getting an affiliate cut on selling products. Tons of money to make there in all those areas if you know the right people and you know the right technology, and you have the right scientific basis and knowledge of your ranking, SEO ranking algorithms. The problem is you need to find them. So I'm going to start trying to get you into that. So if it sounds like this could be a fit for you, I've got an offer for you. Just keep listening on the show, and I will try to help you out with those kinds of things. While I'm at it, if you're watching on YouTube right now, I don't even know if anyone is watching on YouTube right now because I'm broadcasting at a strange time. But if you want to ask questions, by all means, please do so. In the top right-hand side, you should see a chat. There's 7 of you watching now, apparently. Hey, welcome. If you have any SEO questions at all, please ask them in the chat on the top right-hand side. And I'm going to be talking about today what is the stuff you need to do for SEO. Okay, so let's get to that. So let me share this and let me go here to the whiteboard. Okay, so let's do a general breakdown of Google's algorithms for 2020. This is how SEO is working in 2020. I'm going to say a whole lot of things that are good, and I'm not going to say a lot of things that are bad. And so afterwards, you might be a little confused listening to other people and me. That's because I have the scientific knowledge, and my group has the scientific knowledge, and other groups sadly don't. And they're peddling mostly, sorry to say, they're peddling some snake oil. And so I'm going to stay away from the snake oil. So Google's engine breaks down into 2 things, the semantic engine and the quality engine. Those are the 2 main engines for Google's rankings right now. The semantic engine breaks down into a category semantic ID identification kind of algorithm. What are you talking about? Things, not strings. And it breaks down into a word clue algorithm. I'm going to use slightly different words that I've used before, so long listeners of the show might be interested to hear kind of the differences I'm putting here, because my knowledge is always increasing as I do more experiments into how it's working. So Google has a set of artificial intelligences here, AIs. They have 2 or 3 of them, maybe more. I even say up to 8 plus possible classifiers that are classifying information and categorizing information, and then noticing by word clues what the information should be ranked on. And they do that to the entire internet simultaneously as they spider it. It's very interesting. These are the pages they've spidered. They read the information on the pages, and they determine what the ratios are for each topic, each semantic. They kind of categorize what the topics are. We have cats. Hey, these are pages on cats. And hey, we have pages on dogs. And then whenever someone later on searches for cats or dogs, they're able to serve up the relevant pages based on their semantic engine, what has told them, excuse me, still getting over this corona. Whatever their engine tells them has been classified for cats and dogs. And then the ones that are more catty and more doggy based on the word clues of what people talk about when it comes to cats and dogs. The quality engine is based on their user satisfaction and terminating the search. You must terminate. Sorry, that's my terrible accent. You must terminate the search. Get to the chopper. Terminate the search. That's what you need to do. So you need to terminate. Sorry, I've been inside a real long time. I've been alone a very long time. My wife and I are going crazy. So you need to terminate the search over here. You need to do stuff like this. These are the 2 primary algorithms. That's 98% of how it works. You notice what I didn't say here? What I didn't say here was buzzwords that the SEO industry used to use, but doesn't use anymore. And if you hear anybody talking about this stuff, you need to run away, because I told you, I'm here for you. I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to tell you how it actually works, and not the bullshit, and not the snake oil that everybody else is selling. Snake oil salesmen, were part of my group. They leave, and 2 of them have recently come back and tried to contact me. And I told one of them to get out and go to paid traffic, and the other one I'm just ghosting. I'm not answering. And this is more information to tell me that people are getting out of SEO. And I have the proof. I just showed you the graph of November last year, where Google rolled out a bunch of anti-SEO algorithms, and that was more on the semantic side that I was talking about, part of the semantic engine, and kicked them right out of the SERPs, and they have no idea what's going on, sadly, and so they can't keep up. The group with the best science is the group that's going to win in terms of SEO. So you need to find the group with the best science is what you need to do. And I'm here to tell you the truth. Some people don't like it. I get downvotes on my videos all the time. These videos are short. I don't have time to sugarcoat it for you. If you want a sugar-coated thing, go talk to your mama. If you want the real truth about SEO, come talk to me, because I really don't have the time to sugarcoat. So here's the things that if you hear, you should run away screaming. DA. DA stands for domain authority. It has to do with linking. It's a metric. It's Moss's metric. It has nothing to do with Google's PageRank. These are all the wrong things. This is not the way to think of SEO. If they even are partially correct, they are like 1% of the algorithm, and they barely help out, and they just obfuscate and waste your time and money. Silos. Silos are wrong. Silos are a misguided and ancient attempt to trigger Google's page cluster classifier. This page cluster classifier was built back in the days when we had the Rail Next Prev, back in 2011 or so. And they said, hey, SEOs, make Rail Next Prev links for us. And they all did. And Google wrote an algorithm to detect that with machine learning. And then they screwed SEOs, as they have done a million times, and said, okay, we're not doing that anymore. You don't need those anymore. And SEOs are like, what? But I thought Google wouldn't exist if it wasn't for SEOs. So silos are wrong. It's based on the page cluster classifier. They don't necessarily help. Yes, you can make silos, and yes, you can rank in spite of them, just like you can rank in spite of talking about DA. That doesn't mean that it helps you. Yes, you can get rid of the coronavirus by I don't know, drinking honey every day. It doesn't mean it helps you get rid of the coronavirus. Yes, you recovered in spite of drinking honey every day. It doesn't mean it helps you. In fact, a more apt metaphor would be like drinking sugary pop or something like that, where I have the scientific proof that sugar actually hurts your immune system. And to drop the metaphor in SEO, I have the scientific proof that this and this have nothing to do with SEO and don't help you in any way, shape, or form. Yes, you can trigger the page cluster classifier. I don't know if you're going to like the way they cluster your pages and what they're ranking afterwards, because that doesn't work the way that they say that it does. The other thing are going for multi-queries. Sadly, there are some misguided SEOs in the world who tell you should put related searches in an S2, H2, for example. They're totally wrong. Yes, you can do that. You can rank in spite of that, but that's not helping you rank. The term is search engine optimization. What is the optimal way to do it? Not what is the gambling way of doing it, or the haphazard way of doing it, or the ineffectual way or the amateur way of doing it. So our science has proven that you don't want to do it that way. So you don't want to go for multi-queries. You don't want to do related searches like that. The other thing you don't want to do is on-page SEO, like it was 19. In 2019, the on-page SEO changed incredibly. There's no longer anything like a keyword weight. There's no such thing anymore as a keyword, in fact. There's no such thing anymore as exact match query, and there's no such thing anymore as partial match query. That is all predicated and based on a Control F style specificity search engine. Google does not have anymore a specificity-based search engine. They have a semantic engine. It is a much more complicated set of AIs that work together, that talk to each other, that determines what pages are about cats and dogs. That has nothing to do necessarily with the search phrase cats and dogs. It only does accidentally now, as opposed to primarily, which is the way it used to work. So if you're kind of based on that kind of thinking and stuff like that, that's not really going to help you, sadly. So I'm trying to stop you. I'm trying to save you guys from wasting your money, save you guys from wasting your time. And all these, I can prove all of this in my mentorship group. It's a science-based group. Think of it like SEO University. So I run SEO University, and it runs like a university where we take good students. We have an application process. If you're interested in joining and finding out how we discovered all this information, you can email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. I just imagine everyone knows my email address because they don't seem to have trouble emailing me, but at gmail.com. You can email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. And you can apply for SEO University, and we'll see if it's a good fit. There are some prerequisites, however. What else should you not be doing? What else have I heard? Oh, yeah, Google Stacks. Google Stacks is, again, another misguided theory, thinking that if you If you link a whole bunch of Google properties to Google property to Google property, somehow the page rank accrues and somehow you get a magical ranking boost. This is not the case. It's 50-50 random. We've tested this. It's no better. It's no necessarily, it's like flipping a coin. It's no better at ranking than it is worse at ranking. And yeah, you might be able to get it to work for an SEO competition. That doesn't mean your client site can go on there and all the other problems that are going to happen when you try to go industrial or when you try to go in the real world with it. I haven't seen a single Google Stack ranking for any competitive query for the last year, except for like SEO competitions, which are like, see, it works, blah blah blah. But that's not a proper scientific test. That's not a closed environment test. That's an open environment test. So it doesn't prove anything. It definitely doesn't prove you should waste your money or time on that. Oh, what else do I hear that drives me crazy? So in local, they talk about getting citations. That is wrong. You should not be getting citations and by getting like links on address sites. This is the wrong thing to do. This is not how you do citations. That's not how that works. That is definitely a wrong thing to do. That's going to drive you. That's going to hurt you in 2020 and beyond. There's a bunch of local guys out there snickering right now. I know that I've said that, but not that I care. But yeah, like I said, all those things on that side of the column you can do, but it's not the optimal thing to do. Our SEO University has proven what the optimal things are to do, and what's going to rank you more than 50% of the time. What has the power to rank you. And that lets you rank in your money or your life YMYL niches, in competitive gambling niches. Our students have the success. If you don't believe me, go to bit.ly/SEO proof. Let me write that down for you. It's bit. Go to bit.ly/SEOPROOF, SEO proof, and you'll see the results of SEO University, of how we find through science the actual ranking factors. We isolate them, we reverse engineer Google's algorithms, and we use them to make sure our clients are ranking fairly and in the proper place in the ranking results based on the quality of our content and the quality of our being able to massage things for Google. The same kind of white hat stuff that SEOs have always been doing for SEO since time has began. We just do it better than everybody else. And so definitely go there, check the results. Don't believe a word I say. Go look to see if there's actually any results here. Go look to see if I actually have any good beneficial things here to show you. I think I have like over 400. And then check every other group and every other blog writer out there and ask, okay, where's your bit.ly/SEO proof? Where are your reams and reams of results that you've had? You'll notice that they have 0, and that's going to give you a sad face. So, I mean, you shouldn't even listen to them, right? If they can't even provide a bit.ly/SEO proof, why are you even listening at that particular point? At least I'm providing some kind of proof, some kind of positive proof that I know what I'm talking about. The other stuff not to do in 2020, definitely the old school kind of SEO is 80% dead. There's anti-SEO algorithms running all over the place to try and catch you. And they're pretty nasty. I've noticed. Oh yes, I forgot. Our favorite. Now this one really is going to incur wrath, but whatever. I'm stuck at home, so go ahead, bring it. Links. Links are pretty much dead. They're not totally dead, but they're going to be pretty much dead pretty soon. Google just introduced a new bit of HTML code you're supposed to use for delimiting these links. And so after March 1st, which is now, it's March 22nd, you're supposed to use rel sponsored, rel UGC, and rel nofollow. They may be used as a hint for crawling or indexing, and they may be used as a hint for ranking. Google's telling you right here, they're telling you right here that we are going to change the ranking algorithms for links. I bet you this will be the last change they ever make other than to turn it off entirely. Links are so 1999. That is a technology for search rankings that is like 20 years out of date. The writing is completely on the wall for them, and this is the writing on the wall. That once all the SEOs out there go and mark up what is a sponsored link versus what is user-generated content, versus what is a no-follow link that we don't want you, that's non-trusted. They're going to machine learn all of this. They're going to downstream. They're going to give penalties to these sites. They're going to give penalties to these sites, or start deleting all the user-generated content out there that the idiots decide to mark up with this, and then that they can tell is the same as what the idiots have marked up as this. They're going to use machine learning to decimate this entire thing. They're going to tell because of the idiots putting their rel sponsored here and helping Google, thinking that Google, much like, and I've equated them to the Nazis in the past, and if you don't like the metaphor, suck it, but it is apt that it's just like the collaborators in the Jew ghettos who collaborated with Google, collaborated with the bad guy, and ratted out all their friends. Well, they didn't get helped in the end at all, did they? No, they went to Auschwitz and the camps as well. So all those collaborators who use sponsored UGC and nofollow are going to allow Google to machine learn what is a sponsored link, and by all the factors around it, they're going to be able to tell what's a sponsored link and start giving penalties downstream and penalties to you. They're going to start doing the same with UGC, all the stuff around it. They're going to be able to machine learn through advanced AIs what is user-generated content. Whether you use this or not, they're going to find it on your site. You realize that, right? They're going to come up with classifiers, better classifiers for user-generated content. They already have classifiers for all this. They're going to get better classifiers for user-generated content and sponsored. And then they're going to penalize these people and any people downstream that are benefiting by these links, or they'll just turn them off, one or the other. That'll still hurt them, right, in their rankings if they're currently, because the reason why they need to do this is because people are currently benefiting from sponsored user-generated links and no-follow links. That's why they need to do this in the first place. I hope you realize that, of course. So that's going to be taken away and hurt some people. That's going to be taken away and hurt some people. And then this is going to maybe work or maybe not, depending on how they want to. But they're going to think about, what do you think is non-trusted? And then they're going to, just as they always have been with Penguin and since then, machine learn what you think are untrusted links. And then they're just going to be, they're probably just going to, depending on how draconian they're feeling that week, they might just de-index them and devalue them, or they could hurt the people who have the no-follow link on there, or are might be benefiting from the no-follow link. So that's, and you know exactly, everyone else in the industry, tell me I'm wrong. You know exactly that's what they're going to do. That's what they have done. Even the people who give me downvotes in the comments, tell me I'm wrong. That's not what Google's going to do with machine learning those things. You know damn well exactly that's what they're going to do. You know that I'm right, because they've done it before. So at least we could be honest. We can be that honest, can't we? That's what Google's going to do. And so people shouldn't play into it. They're going to, of course. This is a dumb situation in the world where never mind. I was going to start ranting, but yeah. So they're definitely going to do it. So that's why I say here that links actually are not as important as you think they're going to be, because they're going to get massively devalued very soon. They are only worth like 10% of the algorithm. If that, I'd say closer to 5%, maybe 2%. I don't think links are really counted that much at all anymore. I think they might be in other niches. I still think they're counted, for sure, but they are not the end all and be all. The reason why I have them in the wrong list is because people would put them like at the top. They would say links should go up here. Links are the most important thing. And then maybe some of this, and then maybe some of this. That's wrong. That's dead. That's dead wrong. That's moving backwards. That's not how Google does it. Not based on the science of what I've been able to prove at SEO University. So, and this is it's going to get even worse after they're done machine learning. And if you focus all your time on this, you're going to lose, even if it does help rank 10%. If you focus all your time on this, you're going to lose, right? If you're focusing all your time on this kind of stuff, you're definitely going to lose. And what's wrong is the final thing I'm going to say is the SEO rumor mill. This is the worst offender here, period. Think about it. Where do you get your SEO theories from? Every dollar you spend in SEO, every minute you spend in SEO, every effort you do in SEO relies entirely and completely on your theory, your theory on what you think the ranking factors are. You cannot. That goes down to the clueless, the most clueless blogger who's just following Google's rules, all the way up to the most conniving black hat who thinks they know how every algorithm works. You cannot optimize for Google. You cannot make content for Google unless you think you know what the ranking factors are. And if you don't know what the ranking factors are, you can't do that, right? You're going to have a haphazard luck at best. Google has made random sorting, artificial intelligence, anti-SEO algorithms to stop that, to crush that, to kill that. You saw the drop off in November. I showed it to you, right? And that's, Google was very efficient, trust me, in killing SEO largely, which they've been trying to do for a while. They say they're friends with SEOs, but then they're trying to kill the industry in the background and just change it into AdWords because that makes them money. SEO doesn't make them any money at all, whereas AdWords does. Excuse me for a second. So you know that they do it. Of course they do it. You know they're going to do it. And the SEO rumor mill is the thing that's hurting people the most. It's just like hurting us in the rest of the world with politics, and it's hurting us with Corona. It's misinformation. It's people purposely spreading misinformation or accidentally spreading the wrong information. People who do not have the scientific basis to do to have their mouth talking about the stuff that they're talking about. And if you don't have the scientific basis, if you haven't actually done the scientific experiments yourself in a controlled environment in a way that proves what it is you're talking about, then you don't know how SEO works, and you shouldn't be talking about it at all. But people don't care, right? They just want to sell their SEO tool that they made 2 or 3 years ago and haven't changed. They just want to sell their SEO tool that's based on links that they don't want to change. They want to just sell their SEO tool, their miracle SEO tool that is based on stuff that worked 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and just not telling anybody that it doesn't work anymore. We saw this with Penguin. We saw this every time Google made a change. We saw snake oil salesmen still selling their tool, link research this, backlinks that, PBN this, PBN that. Oh, PBN, I forgot for the wrong list. Wrong way of doing it. Wrong. Costly, time ineffective, 50% effectiveness, if that, for most people. So, you know, you've seen it again and again and again that you know they're just selling the snake oil. I'm running a university. We don't have any miracle cures. In fact, the first thing you say when you join is say, it's hard. It's going to take you 3 months. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're going to have to break your brain trying to learn these new algorithms that Google has done it, which is it's amazing how good Google is at doing things totally different than what people think. And the engineers are so on another level of what everyone thinks. And even John Mueller and Gary Eliash, their Webmaster Trends analyst peons, think. They're so different than what's even going on over there that when science actually uncovers how is it working, you're like, this is a night and day difference. It's not even close. It's not even close to what the industry thinks. So, yeah. And so the SEO rumor mill is what's going to hurt you the most. It is the wrongest thing about the SEO industry. It is the wrongest thing about the world, quite frankly, period, right now, or one of them. One of the biggest cancers, one of the biggest problems. Misinformation, purposely sent or accidentally sent, is one of the worst things, and it's going to kill your SEO career. It's going to kill your SEO business. It risks all of your money. It risks all of your profit. It risks all of that heartache and hard sweat and hard work you did trying to rank these pages based on lies, outright lies in many cases. Yes, people on here lie. People I used to call friends who I thought were ethical lie to other people's faces. Lie to their faces and say, yeah, well, this will work for sure. Yeah, blah, 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 and play up how well their theories are or blah, 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 while they're getting out of SEO. At the same time they're getting out of SEO, right? They're going into porn. Literally, one of them did this. They're going into paid traffic. They're going into this. They're going into that. They're getting out of SEO while telling everyone, oh yeah, it works really great. See you later. Bye. Yeah, stay in the room. We're going to see you later. Ka-chunk, close the door on the gas. Everyone falls down dead. So that's the kind of people in here, right? So I'm staying in SEO. I'm going to be the last one right in here, ranking pages like a motherfucker. And all my students at SEO University are going to be doing the same thing. I'm good, Google. Clear out my competition. Thank you. Thank you very much, because I have the education. I'm intelligent enough to do the science, to be able to figure out what the hell is going on and statistically provide the ranking bonuses and benefits. Fine by me. So, but it does suck. I see a lot of people getting into SEO and they're looking at articles which are 5 years old. You can't do that, guys. You can't do that. Even last year is too far away. You can't do that, right? They're looking at the wrong information. They're looking at lies. They're looking at either lies or people who are not lying, about how all the rankings, but they're just guessing. They're like, well, I think it's this, I think it's that. I interviewed a guy a couple weeks ago. He was a good guy. I can't remember his name, but he thought he had the SEO information. He came on my show to push his VA. Sent him on my show to push their plugin. Sent him to the wolf. Poor guy. His VA obviously didn't do their due diligence to know what kind of guy I am, what kind of questions I was going to ask, hard-hitting science questions, and or what kind of show this is, right? It's not the regular SEO show that's peddling all the crap back and forth. We have standards. We have standards here. Yeah, poor guy. I mean, he listened well. He took it well, so I give him that credit. He's a quality human being. I wish him nothing but the best from a human being perspective. But from an SEO science perspective, he was a guessio who had no idea what was going on. And he's trying to do his best for his clients. He just doesn't know that science exists. It's hilarious. It's like he's living in some other town that never heard of science before, and they're still like using fire to light their rooms at night and houses are burning down. They're like, what do you mean you've cured, this or that? They've never heard of it before. And he would switch over. I can't let him switch over because he works with their big group, and so I can't let him join SEO University. But he ostensibly he knew that science would be better if it could exist. So I would get in my group while you still can, guys. There's only so many students who can get in here. I don't let people in who are a bad student. I don't let people in who are not a good fit. I don't let people in who are just from other groups. You're just going to take our knowledge and go talk to other people. I mean, as best as I can. I'm not a super sleuth. I'm not going to hack your Facebook and see if you're actually friends with so-and-so. Or, I can't do that. But once you get into my group, you notice how good our information is and how different it is. And you're going to shut up and just benefit from it. I hope at least that's what's going to happen. I don't want to jinx myself, knock on my big block of wood here. So that's the worst thing that's going on right now is the SEO misinformation. So let's see if there's any questions in here. Rahul says, hello. The fees for SEO University. Right now the fees are $300 a month. That might increase. And I don't always accept students. So by all means, you can contact me at joshbachynski@gmail.com and I'll send you our application form and we'll see how that goes. Digital Exhale says, bringing the heat today. Yes. Well, I have one setting, go. So it's the way it is. If I lived during the Spanish Inquisition and they're like, do you believe in science or God? I'd be like, okay, just kill me now. Just go ahead. Not my century. I'll reincarnate into some future century where human beings are slightly, marginally less shitty. Marginally. Beatlebore says, that's an ambitious arrow. Yes, but it's not ambitious. I mean, I know the stuff I say sounds outlandish, but that's because you're only think of this, guys. Think of this. For 1 second, just try to wash away all what you thought you've heard was a ranking factor in SEO. Everything I'm saying sounds outlandish only because you're comparing it to that previous standard of what people said was a ranking factor, which they never proved. And just because they say it doesn't make it true. Just because everyone says Sasquatch exists doesn't mean there's a large primate living in the Pacific Northwest. Just doesn't, right? And that's why it sounds so outlandish for me to be saying these things. It's like, what if the whole world thought that Sasquatch existed, even though that they couldn't produce a cadaver, they could never produce a picture of it in the wild that was irrefutably the thing. They couldn't produce the proof, but everyone in the world believed it existed. They said, Sasquatch is real. And I came out and said, not really. You don't have the scientific proof for it. It would be irrational for me to say it's real. I would be a dumb person to say it is real. That is not the way smartness works. That's the way dumbness works. There's no proof for it. It would sound, oh my goodness, Josh is a heretic and oh, he's crazy. Oh, he says all this outlandish stuff. That's only because you're comparing to the herd standard. But the herd standard is not the gold standard of truth. Scientific method is the gold standard of proving and getting to the truthiness. And I'm just going to use truthiness because there's a lot of subjective interpretation involved in science too. Of course, we know this. But the evidence doesn't lie. The evidence points at a certain direction. The better the experiment you do, the better the evidence, the more it points in a certain direction. And if you follow the evidence, it's like following the money. If you follow the evidence, you eventually come to the pure product of the truth or as close to it as you can possibly get. And so I've done that process. I've walked through the burning desert, right, to do that process. I work at this many hours every day to do these experiments and to figure out how this all works. And that's the only reason why I say it sounds so outlandish is just because the herd mentality is so wrong right now. But that makes perfect sense because that's what Google wants it to be. Google wants the herd mentality to be completely wrong right now. They put out nothing but public relations spin about SEO and garbage and myth about SEO, and they get the SEOs all worked up, and so they start talking to each other at conferences and writing their blogs, and they don't know what else to do, and they're like, maybe this is a ranking factor, maybe this is, I don't know, right? And because their boss calls them on the carpet and says, okay, how are we going to rank next month? You know, your job is on the line, do it, and they're like, links, I guess, I don't know. Right? They have no idea. I feel very sorry for these people. I could never do that as a job. Imagine. It's like being a psychic professionally for a corporation. Like, next month you better divine what the winning horse is going to be, or you're fired. It's like there's no science there. There's no realism there. There's no mechanism for proof or non-proof, and therefore there's no mechanism for progress. Right? It's just sheer dumb luck if your company succeeds or not, and that's not what you should be. You should let all of you should let your CEOs and your bosses listen to this show right now. Hello, hi. My name is Josh Bachynski. I've got a news flash for you. You're wasting your entire budget and you're spending all your time and risking all your profit on unscientific, complete hearsay and bullshit. Is that the way you like to proceed? I didn't think so. Send your SEO to SEO University so that they can learn the actual scientific proof of what is a ranking factor or not. And that's the only chance of your business making any money through organic Google, or get used to paying Google their Google tax, because that is the conclusion. Because at the end of the day, that's what Google wants, right? Google wants you to be paying the Google tax, aka ads, or they used to call it AdWords, and I just changed it to ads. So that's what's going to happen. Avocat Tyrain asks, 1, can you explain how you do closed environment tests? 2, and if those things you are saying don't work or are not going to work anymore in 2020, then what is going to work? That's a perfect segue question. Thank you, Avocat, however you say your name. So yeah, it's very easy to do closed environment tests. There are, I can't reveal our secret processes, of course, but there are multiple ways to do closed environment testing. Google provides an infinite way of doing closed environment testing. And also they have more than infinite ways of doing closed environment testing. I even have search engine test environments that are Google based that you can use for testing as well. So it's just simply a lack of imagination of how not to do closed environment testing. Local is, of course, a bit more difficult. But in terms of the semantic rankings, the base of the ranking factors, and even dipping into local as well, there are ways to do closed environment testing. Your next question is, okay, so if that's what doesn't work, what does work? Well, let me go back here. That's a good question. So let me go back here to here. Okay. So what does work, Josh? Well, if that's the wrong way of doing it, you need to tailor your pages for the semantic engine and the quality engine. So Google doesn't rank sites. Here's another thing I can say. Google doesn't rank sites. Part of the myth of DA is that Google ranks sites. They do not rank sites. That's not how they rank web pages. They categorize and rank web pages. They do have classifiers for sites. They have a site classifier, of course. And I can only speculate as to how much of a weight it actually has in ranking. So maybe having a site has a little bit of a ranking factor outside everything else. But quite frankly, typically it's the semantic engine that looks at the content of pages. Google ranks pages. And of course they do look at the Google search results page. It's pages. And so you need to tailor your information for the semantic engine. You need to understand how they categorize and identify these pages, the things on your pages, the entities. This is where entities actually come into play. And you need to make sure you have the proper word clues. You need to have the proper information and tools to find out what the word clues are. I can tell you what they're not. LSI is not a word clue, is not the system they're using. TF-IDF is not the system they're using. None of that is the system they're using. Vectoring is not the system they're using. It was the system they were using. They're not using it anymore. It is a unique system, proprietary to Google, that they've made based off of multiple artificial intelligences all talking together that have the anti-SEO algorithm built into it. If you try to manipulate the anti-SEO algorithm, you are probably going to run into trouble. It'll probably detect you're trying to do that and will probably classify you as untrusted or low quality is their euphemism. I like untrusted because it's they use that term sometimes as well. And that's probably what's going to happen to you there. SEO University will show you how to deal with all these things, how to do these things. Also, the quality engine. You have to make sure that users are satisfied, right? So imagine all the ways you can make sure that your users are satisfied. What users? All of them. All of your users, whether they're paid or they're organic or they're direct, it doesn't matter. All of them have to be satisfied. And you definitely need to terminate the search. And, you really should be the best one. You really should be the best choice out of all the choices. That's a really important thing that you need to consider as well. And there's even extra on top of the fact bonuses that they give the best choice. The best choice has like 3 algorithms I can think of, major ones off the top of my head, that it'll get boosts from. They really do double and triple dip. They claim they don't double and triple dip. They really do, actually. Once they find a winning paradigm, namely all these AIs talking to each other, they just reuse it again and again and again in multiple places. So that was quite interesting to find out. Technical stuff, of course, is important as well. There's tech stuff that you have to make sure that they're doing. You don't want to have any, you want no errors in Search Console, right? You can't have any of that in there. Some are more important than others. At SEO University, you'll find out which is what. Speed, of course, which is derivative of the errors in Search Console, because now Google's giving those errors in there. You're going to want to look for crawl anomalies. You're going to want to try to limit the crawl anomalies. If you see any 500 level errors, definitely fix any 500 level errors for sure. There's going to be other technical issues that are a problem. The ones that are not a problem really are sitemaps. Who cares? It's not really such a big deal. Everyone thinks it's a big deal. It's not. That's one thing that they talk a lot about in Search Console. That's really not such a big deal. Sitemaps are easy for Google. Sitemaps make it easier for Google. They do not make it easier for you in any way, shape, or form. I've detected no scientific proof to show that having a good sitemap and keeping a good sitemap gives you any boost or bonus whatsoever, other than it might, if you have a site that has 1 million pages, it might find your content faster. But you shouldn't have a site that has 1 million pages. John Mueller specifically said not to have a site that has 1 million pages. So, it's not really helping you at all whatsoever. Robots text as well. It's good to know how that works so you're not doing any damage in there, but it's not, if you spend your whole day crafting a robots text file, you've wasted a whole day that has nothing to do with SEO. Again, that's just to help Google. That only helps Google in saving their time and money in not crawling stuff, resources you don't want crawled. There's no reason why you shouldn't want resources crawled unless, you have a file full of credit cards online. And why then do you have a file of unencrypted credit cards online? I mean, that's really the dumbest example I've ever heard, and you shouldn't have that anyway. So I mean, really, what Google says SEO is, and they pushed in SEO into being like this stuff here, that's complete bullshit as to any any use in SEO, but of course that's exactly the way they wanted. That's what you would expect, right? You don't trust Google, do you? I sure hope you don't, because that would be a very foolish thing to do. What proof have they given you that they're going to help you actually rank? Zero. I'm giving proof right here. Go take a look at it. Technical stuff you can do, of course. There's lots of other stuff you can do that I can't really mention. You'll get into it in SEO University. I could talk a lot about what not to do, for sure. But what you can do, of course, if you get into SEO University, that's kind of where we can help out a little bit more. Maybe specific questions I can try and help out. Let me see if there's any more on there. Battlebore asks, can you show us an example of a specific page you've ranked? No. No, I can't. Obviously not. And someone else mentioned why not. And they say, no, just to add credibility to what Josh is saying, there's no proof. Yes, there is. Go to bit.ly/SEO proof. That's the kind of proof that I can provide you. That's the kind of proof you want. I mean, I could show you all kind of pages that are ranking spot number 1 because it's in a query that nobody cares about. Type in Josh Bachynski and you'll see my site coming up number 1. There you go. I mean, it doesn't matter, right? That's not the way to see it, and then you could try to reverse engineer stuff I've done on that page. You probably won't be able to. It's that complicated and that complex. So it's not really dangerous for me to show you a page I've ranked in spot number 1. But you could tell some things about it. Maybe you could put it in the web spam form and send it to Google. And there are some credible, sadly, there are some credible negative SEO tactics employees that still work, that do work. Sadly, that you could maybe hurt the site with. So it's really not worth my time. What you want to look at is the results. You want to go to bit.ly/SEO proof. It strains my mind that you're like, there's no proof. Of course there's proof. I just told you what it was. bit.ly/SEO proof. I will show it to you. Here you go. Watch this. If you go, it's magic. bit.ly/SEO proof. Here we are. There's a whole bunch of proof in here of lines going up, lines going, and people saying, hey, look, we got ranking increases. And hey, we got more ranking increases. Well, that's an example of the competition. And hey, there's more ranking increases. The orange line is the ranking line. This color here is the impressions. That's the clicks. Hey, there's more people ranking in here. They just doubled their traffic. Hey, and these are actual shots. Hey, here's our local killing it. Here's someone who did something for 2 weeks. They implemented just one. Just one of our tactics is all they had to implement. Just one. And all of a sudden, they're getting number 1 spots, number 2 spots. This is a rank tracker for local. In major, they're getting top 3 rankings in major ranking areas, et cetera, et cetera. My client called and wanted to know what was going on as his month is double profit at what it was last year. This is recent, 2020, etc. This goes on and on and on and on and on. Boom, boom. So there's plenty of proof up here, Battle Board. And no, I'm not going to show you any of my pages, not until you register for SEO University. If you register for SEO University, yes, of course, I'll show you all the pages and test pages and stuff that we're doing. And then I will stand behind you and say, you're doing it wrong, do it this way. And then, no, you can do it this way, no, not quite that way, this way. And I will coach you into success because that's my job. That's what I do. So that's another interesting thing, that I wanted to talk about. So thank you for mentioning that. The other thing is that the general idea out there in the industry that everything should be free. I don't know where we got this idea that everything should be free. It certainly doesn't work that way in a brick and mortar store. If you walk into a brick and mortar store and look around and pick up all the merchandise and put it down and take all the shirts and unfold them that the person just had to fold, and you're like, I'm not really sure, and then you walk out, you're being a dick, right? That's called a looky-loo. No, you don't have to buy, but you don't have to be a jerk either. Sorry, if you don't like the truth, that's the way it is. And anyone who has had to fold those shirts will agree with me. Anyone who has owned a brick and mortar store and had someone wasting their time and making them nervous just looking around, what are you, a shoplifter? What's going on? Are you a perv? What are you doing? That's not being a very nice person. And so that's the same thing. This is the same thing with the internet. People who just come on here and now I'll give a caveat after this, but people who come on here and are like, give me everything for free. Sorry, I can't. SEO is way too complicated now to have that kind of Garden of Eden mentality. We are out of the garden, if I can use the metaphor. Google has cast us out and we're now in the desert. It's like, oh shit, it sucks out here. There's viruses and shit. So it's SEO Armageddon, let me tell you. So you better get with a group. You better get with those road warrior groups that has a strong scientific background. Some road warrior guy with like cut off, he has got the cut off science lab cut off for his biceps and like pouring liquids in each other. Like you better get with that group with the scientist who actually knows what they're doing, because you are going to die out in there in the desert. That's what's going to happen. And that's the truth. I don't care if that pisses you off. Sorry. That's just the way that it is. I'm trying to protect you. I'm trying to save you from hurting yourself. And the same kind of mentality that you can come on here and get quality free advice. It's just, there's plenty of quality free advice that I've given. I give you a whole list of what not to do and where not to spend your time. My show alone, even now, even with the changes that I've made and kind of holding back the secrets, because I have to, because students now pay for them. So I'm honoring my students, which is my job. Even now, people have said the show is great. I still benefit off the little bits of information you're giving. These are the really, really smart people who are already on the same wavelength as me and they're doing their own testing, and I'm just kind of helping them out with different kind of stuff. So, I mean, that happens all the time. So, the caveat I promised. Now, the world is not fair. I live in the first world. I'm fully aware of this bias, and I'm fully aware of the privileged position from which I operate. So I totally understand that the third world's like, yeah, Josh, that's wonderful, but I can't afford $300 a month. That's like $3,000 a month to me, or even $30,000 a month to me. I totally hear you and I totally get it. And I wish that I could, and I've tried to make other language groups. I tried to make a Hindi group where all the talking would be in Hindi. So I know that you are Indian and I know that that's who you are. And I was going to make a drastically reduced price for those folks, something that they could afford. And I could just never find someone who can run it properly. So if you're a responsible human being who wants to be my employee and wants to make a hell of a lot of money with me and help people learn the proper way of doing SEO, let me know. I was trying to do it in Hindi. I've been trying to do it in Spanish. I looked into doing it in other languages, but they either fall through or it doesn't make sense, or that kind of a thing. So I've tried, but I have the double-edged sword. Yes, I'm in the first world, and so I have to charge I can charge first world prices, but I have to pay first world prices for all my stuff too. You know what the mortgage is for this house? Do you know how much this house cost me? A lot of money. And that's not bragging. I'm saying, cost of living. I live on Vancouver Island. The cost of living here is ridiculous. So, we all got our cross to bear, right? We've all got to pay the tax man at the end of the day. Even if coronavirus is going on, they're going to get their money from you, even if they defer a few months. Don't be tricked. Don't be fooled by that, my friends. You call your bank and asking you to defer a payment for corona. They're like, sure, but in 6 months, you're going to have to pay the whole thing back, right? With interest, not this new low interest rate, the interest rate they locked you into your mortgage on. So make sure you look into that, guys. Look into all the scams that are going on out there. So I'm sorry, that's the way it is. And so I know that people feel entitled and that there's a lot of people, they claim there's a lot of free information out there, but that's not even true. There is not a lot of free information out there. There's a lot of free bullshit out there. There's a lot of free kissing your ass out there. There's a lot of free, I wish it was true, but it's not information out there. Like, all you have to do is download our WordPress plugin and it will do all the SEO for you. SEO is easy. That's a complete lie. It's total bullshit. It's totally false. If that was the case, no one would be paying me for any information when I have almost a packed course, right? And so it's totally crap. It's totally crap. It's too good to be true. Don't tell me it's not. But that's what's conditioned your expectations, right? Everyone out there on YouTube claims to have the free information that's good enough that is actually going to help you rank, and they're just lying. It's just a lie. It's just false. They're either deluded themselves or they're bold-faced lying to your face, and they just don't give a shit. They just don't care. They're unscrupulous sales. They're unscrupulous, probably evil salespeople. But that has conditioned your expectation to think that everything should be free and the information is easy. And if the information is easy, Josh, why don't you just tell us? Why are you holding it back? And it feels like I'm being a jerk and holding it back from you. I'm not. I have a university where I will teach it to you. I couldn't possibly tell you all of it in an hour. It's that complicated. You need to join the university. I need to go, okay, guys. All right, fine. Okay. Hour 4 of the tutorial. Yes, they get that long. It's that complex. And so even if I wanted to give you the information away for free, which I do, I do, because I'm the kind of guy who wants to give information away for free. I'm just bursting to tell you. I'm like, oh, it's so cool. I want to tell you guys. But I can't, even if I wanted to, even if it wasn't my revenue model that I need to live, because it's that complicated. I can't do a show for that long every day. I can't do a 4-hour show to teach anyone who comes, an 8-hour show. I couldn't cover it all if I broadcasted 24 fucking hours a day. I couldn't cover it all. That's how complicated it is these days to really rank in the high gambling niches or the your money, your life niches. That's how complex it really is. So your expectation that it should be free, that it could be free, that you want it to be free, is I'm sorry, just not on board with the way the world is right now. And I'm sorry to be the guy telling you that. I'm sorry to be the one telling you that everyone else is either lying or out to lunch and they don't realize that it's a post-apocalyptic world. Don't realize Mel Gibson just ran by with a knife with a bunch of barbarians chasing him. They're sitting here, and then you can do SEO tomorrow. It'll be no problem. And the barbarian cuts his head off and drinks his blood, and then runs after Mel Gibson. They are losing their jobs. They're coming back to me. They're like, Josh, please let me back in. I'm like, no, see ya. That's the way it is. I don't like it that way. I wish we could all be friends. I do. But it's not that way anymore. So that's the way it is. So your expectations that it should be free, could be free, Josh is just being a jerk holding it back. None of these are fair expectations, quite frankly. Fair for me, fair against me, or fair against the industry. Hate me all you like. I don't care. You don't like my chest hair? I don't think it's ridiculous. I don't like it either. I mean, look at this chest hair. Jesus Christ. All I need is a gold chain in here and just completes the fucking 40-year-old with the mid-age crisis. I mean, I'm aware. I get it. Okay. All right. But that is, you can hate me all you like, but SEO is the way it is. And I have to do it this way, guys. Cause that is the way it is. And I am the only one here who has the balls to tell you the truth. This is not a sales pitch. I could sell this course way, way better if I was like, it's easy, jump in, you'll be ranking in a day. That would be a much easier sales pitch than the truth, where I'm like, not all of you are going to make it who join my group. About 40% fail, roughly. About 60% make it. Why? I'll tell you. They don't have the technical background. They didn't realize what it would take. They didn't realize how high level the concepts are. That's not my problem. That's Google's problem. Google's made it that hard with those complex AIs talking to each other. That's just what you have to absorb. They didn't realize it would be that much work, and they didn't realize it would cost that much money outside of even paying me for the information in the university, the stuff you need to do. That's why they fail. Our tactics work. Look at the results. It's just that not everybody has, just like you can't be a rocket engineer, right? You can't be a neuroscientist without some skills already in math and science and things like that you've already learned at this point in life. You've got the loser stoner who says SEO is easy. He's damaging your expectations, and that's just not accurate. And so it's unfair, a little unfair to take those complete bullshit views into the real world that we're in, that I'm trying to communicate to you, and then judge kind of what's going on now. And I hope that helps people out, me saying that. Now, what am I doing? Oh yeah. Now let's see if there's any more questions. Amazon has a site with 1 million pages. Yes, Amazon has a site with 1 million pages. That's the exception, not the rule. I know exactly why they're ranking and other people are not. Again, that's the exception, not the rule. Battlebore says, LOL, that's not proof. I presume you're referring to the pictures I showed you. It is a form of proof. And as I said, for me to give you the complete background of what's going on, it would take a very, very long time. And so join the group and you'll get to see the proof you want. Chris says, nice beard. Thank you. It took me some time to even it out. Thanks very much. And then they say something, Obama gave us the IDE. I don't know what the IDE is, and I don't think I want to entertain that statement because it sounds vaguely racist to me, but I don't know what the IDE is. So there you go. So thanks very much, guys. It's been an hour. So I hope that's helped you out. If you want to even know if you want to be in the SEO industry, I hope it's helped you out if you want to know what steps it needs to take. Join any other science group you like. I know they all suck. I know they don't know what they're doing. Sorry, it's just the way that it is. If I had another one that I could recommend, I would, because I wouldn't come off as such a hard ass. I'd be a better sell, right? I know how to sell, and I know how my sale is a hard sale. I would make it a better sale if I could in conscience, but I can't because it's wrong and false and lies. So I've got to make it the hard sale that it is, right? Trust me. So I hope that's giving you some information and some real information. It's something to do while we're all locked up in our houses as to what you should be doing with SEO, how to do SEO in 2020. If you're interested in joining the group, email me at joshbachynski@gmail.com. Don't take long because I do close the group. I have closed it for months before. I have turned people away. You can ask around. I hope that gives you some hints and clues as well as to what you can be doing and direct things in the wrong column of what not to do, just verbatim. And we'll see you in SERPs. Good luck. For those about to rank, we salute you. And I'll try to broadcast another show next week. If you have questions, bring them. I'll try to answer. And as always, it'll be the truthful answer. I'll see you next time.